Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of Breaking Down the Play. Today we're going to be checking out a round between BB Ignis and Absolute Jupiter on Split, and this happened during the Rage Valorant Japan tournament. So I chose this round for two reasons. We want to examine Absolute Jupiter's playstyle on defense, on Split when they have no Sage, while the second one is how they adapt to BB Ignis's clean execution on the B site. So let's start with the agent composition on Absolute Jupiter, as you can see here in red on the scoreboard. So we tend to give a lot of importance for Sage currently on defense in the current meta, thanks to her wall and her slow orbs to push back against any type of mid-aggression and allow rotations between the site players. They also replaced the Sage with a Breach. So that means that the composition is very strong on attack, because you could initiate with Breach's utility and then leverage their jet and arrays for the entries. But the defense, kind of iffy in my opinion, so I want to know how they actually adapt to that. So I'm going to pause the video right now just to show you how they actually changed their defensive strategy, rather. So first off, I like this position. You see Jupiter Laz on defense here for Team Absolute Jupiter. He's actually put a great camera spot that could actually look at A entrance and A ramp. You can see also the little icons of the cyber cages. That means that he could actually turn on the cyber cages from the camera angles to allow to slow down any type of big pushes that are happening into his site and try to slow down as much as he could so that everybody else from Absolute Jupiter could be rotating from mid and from B. What's also very good from Laz's position is that he's actually playing a deep angle. It's actually a deep corner to clear if you're trying to push in from the A ramp as an attacker. So he has basically the best chances from that angle to maybe take one-on-one fights or maybe even kill one or two before he dies himself, allowing to make it an easier rotate for his teammates. So you're kind of sacrificing the site, playing a retake for the team, but at least at the same time, you're also allowing the other players to focus more towards mid and also towards B, which is why I was going to say that's how they adapt to not having a Sage. So look at this minimap. On the top in blue, the Jet, right? He's actually setting up a crossfire with the Rays at that point. The Jet here being played by Rada, and the Rays is being played by Crow. So if the pressure is too high from the attack, on the attack side on mid, they also still have Barcy as the Brimstone on that catwalk of heaven, so he could support with counter smokes on mid, and also a Molly, and also himself they could use to play for trades should they start losing players from this aggressive push on mid side. So this kind of leaves some sort of a weakness for the defense, which in my opinion would be the B side, because you have a Breach that's gonna be playing there, and he's gonna have to or jiggle peek or play it super passively and basically try to counter as much as he can with the abilities to try to slow down the attack. But if he dies from jiggle peeking, at least there's still 2B on heaven that could still defend a push into a B site, allowing the two others to rotate. So that's how you basically adapt to that should you have a weaker point with a Breach player on looking at towards B main, right? So let's continue on with the video. We'll talk about the attack. We could go with the strat from BB Ignis, as you could see, but with spoilers to start, what I do like is how they executed their strategy on the attack, but they still lose the round in this point, and that's why I wanted to highlight it too, because they have 4 ultimates to work with, yet Absolute Jupiter is still able to defend this. So what are they doing right now? Earlier on in this round, you saw that the Omen being played by Poem, I think, right now for Absolute Jupiter, through dark covers towards mid side, just to try to get a bit of control on that area to see if anybody else is going to re-peek. When that didn't happen, he threw another dark cover towards the bottom of the staircase of mid, so he could rotate back towards the B site. Also, you have Oitan that's playing as a Cypher on the attacker side too, in red on that minimap, and he actually placed a camera towards A side ramp, didn't see anybody, and he rotated back towards mid. So everybody on the attacker side in red on the minimap now are all grouping up towards the B main, while you have the breach that's getting ready to do Rolling Thunder from the Ramen into the B Heaven, and an Oitan as the Cypher is going to be the one lurking into the mid side. So the execution is going to start with Poem as the Omen when he's going to throw a dark cover towards B Heaven. As that's being thrown, at the same time, the Rolling Thunder gets pushed up by Hunt here, H and T as you saw. So Rip Pablo as a Sage is going to throw up a Sage Wall. But what I found very interesting from this one is, look at it. He's actually walling it so that you're looking towards the right side of the site. So the 3 players moving in are now could focus as they move in right here. They focus now towards ropes at the bottom of Hell because Heaven is already smoked. And they could also worry about the back of the site. I don't think they have to worry too much about a B Heaven retake because you already have a Rolling Thunder that was actually thrown by their breach. Which actually means that when you're looking at this minimap right now, Reyta, who was actually opping as the Jet at the beginning at B Heaven, is forced to fall back in the back of the spawn of B. So that means B Heaven technically is cleared from our point of view, but from BB Ignis's point of view on the attacker side, they could pretty much avoid looking up that area. So you now have 3 players running into the site. They can run the numbers in and play for trades. Meanwhile, while this was happening too and the wall was coming up, you also had paint shells being thrown by the Rays, and also a Paranoia being thrown by Poem as the Omen into the site. Right, so that means they're trying to clear out default. They're trying to clear out the default blindly, and then they're just trying to go for trades into the site. As you can see so far, nobody has died though for the team. So from Takajay's point of view, you see now how they adapt here from Absolute Jupiter. As these paint shells are blowing up, everybody's just walking down towards that wall, and they're safe. Look how glued they are to it, right? So they're never going to get attacked by any type of split that's going to come towards B Heaven should they think somebody's coming from B Heaven on the attacker side. And they're just going to have to wait and see what happens from the attackers. Once they get into the site, they still have a 2-man crossfire setup or 2-man stack to go for trades if they wanted to. Again, the point now, while you're under pressure, is of course to try to stay alive. But if you die, take as many down as you can with you at the same time. Now you can see they made it towards the back of the site. It was a perfect trade here for 1-for-1, taking down the Opper. So Jet falls, they lose the Sage, but the Sage doesn't have a res either, so that's okay. They still have 3 ultimates to work with here. So Poem gets the kill. And meanwhile, you'll see a lot of flashpoints being thrown here from the defensive side. As the kill feed still continues, you see here Oitan gets the kill onto Crow as he, lurking towards his mid side, is able to take down Crow on the rotation. The good thing about it right now is because they've lost a lot of players inside B. Well, they lost 1 player inside B on these trades, but they still don't have the information of where these last 2 players are currently playing inside the site. So Barcy and Taikaji. So what's going to happen is we're going to throw the Neural Theft from Oitan, and we're going to spot both of them here. So as we spot both of them, Poem, who does have the spike, is like, holy crap, we actually have a stack towards the B side. I'm going to try to fall back and go towards A to plant. Meanwhile, though, because we have this extra information, you see from this left corner of the screen that the breach is actually going to throw an aftershock, right? So Hunt throwing an aftershock in the corner, knowing that Takajay was playing around that corner, so forces him out of position. And at the same time, the Raze is going to try to move forward and help him out by pulling out the showstopper and trying to get these kills. It turns out to be a trade. So Neth, as the Raze, is able to get a showstopper kill onto Barcy, Barcy onto Hunt, Takajay onto Neth. So that leaves it on a 2 versus 2 situation. But the hard part at this point, as the attacker for BB Ignis, you know there's only 1 player on each site now, but there's only 25 seconds left on the clock. So you start to have to rotate quick. You see them, you hear them running. They're also rappelling and running inside the ropes and make it into Heaven, which gives a chance here for Laz to just walk back on a rotation, and now he has a surprise factor, and he's able to get this kill onto Oitan. Not only that, pulls up the camera. Last person here is spotted as Poem. He doesn't get tagged by the camera, but that's enough time. The rest of the round basically reads itself out. it's going to be played off time, and it's going to be Absolute Jupiter that is going to win that round. So all that, Absolute Jupiter at this point had 0 ultimates into this round, played against 3 ultimates that were used, and still won the round with 2 players alive. So a great way to adapt, but I think it was more based off a mistake from BB Ignis on the attack. Reason why? Let's just rewind real quick. From the point of view of Takagi, right? In this minimap, you already know that there's going to be 3 players getting ready to throw abilities, and you have a breach that's getting ready for the Rolling Thunder at B Heaven. Now, remember what I said before. They threw paint shells over a wall, and they threw a paranoia at default blindly. So that means that they play without any information. So the keyword here is blind. They guessed where the players would be at. They have no information as to where the players are set up on B. While this technically could have been an easy trade kill towards his B side, but you had no information. You have the raise that is going to throw the paint shells. You have the breach that's going to do a Rolling Thunder, and you have the Cypher as a lurk. So everybody has to play a key role into this round. If you have to sacrifice one player to get some information, in my opinion, it should be the raise. Because you have the ultimate already with the Showstopper, use the Blast Pack while they have the Dark Cover on B Heaven and the Rolling Thunder coming through, so he gets into the site. Best case scenario is that he gets a kill for a trade, so a rocket for a rifle kill on the trade, but at least has the information on where the second player is going to be. So that allows the wall to come up right after, and probably the paranoia to be thrown right at the area where that last player is at, so they could actually come in and get the kill and the trade, and that means the site should be taken, because technically Reita should be taken down from the trade too, and they know where Takagi or Barcy are playing inside the site. So that would have been easier should they still want to commit inside B. My other recommendation is at this point, HNT Hunter as the breach had an operator as an initiator, and I find that quite interesting, and especially on a strat like this. It took so much time before the wall has been broken down. When I counted the amount of flashpoints that were thrown inside the site during his execution, there was 3 flashpoint sounds that I heard. And when we click back through the players, I see that Takagi on the defense had 0 left, which means that BB Ignis for Hunt only threw 1. And the rest of the time, look at this minimap. Follow this minimap from when the round has been executed here. So look at the red breach on that minimap. He's staying around the corner on B main. The wall hasn't been broken yet, as you can see from that minimap, and he's still just dancing back and forth with the operator. So he wasn't really there to try to support the team to move into the site to go for any trades. He just waited for the wall to thaw up, to break, and then hopefully get a quick scope for a kill down towards the back of the B site. But he actually didn't even get a shot. He got his Aftershock out at least to flush an opponent out, but his reaction time wasn't fast enough to get an op kill on top of that. So I think if he switched over to a rifle, he would have maybe helped the team a lot more for BB Ignis to get into the site and eventually hopefully get the plant at that point. So in the end, I still think that BB Ignis had the right idea and the right strategy. Just maybe a small tweak would have definitely helped them to win the round and come back into this game. I'm not going to give you guys the final scoreline of this matchup, nor am I going to tell you guys who won the tournament, but I will definitely link you guys to the matchup and the tournament if you're interested to watch the Asian scene of Valorant, to click on that link and to watch it. So for that, I'm Vansili. Thank you so much for watching, and please leave your comments below for any type of feedback for me to try and improve on my future videos. Thank you so much, and see you next time.